God damn, holy what the oh my 236,000 recent reviews. Oh my that is insane. Democracy at its finest.
With the Helldivers 2 situation, Disney, in most cases of consumer ire involving mismanaged product services and customer-seller relationships, the takeaway and motto most people always repeat is, vote with your wallet. Put your money where your mouth is. And nothing changes a company's tune, like Sony's, faster than losing money or realizing they're losing their customers. And when these companies get so successful that they become the only game in town, it's easy for them to forget that those paying the money are the ones who make or break their success, and they turn out preying on these people. I covered the Helldivers 2 situation because it was an important event, showing yet another instance of companies mistreating their audience, whether for profit or sheer negligence. And the one thing I can say about the gaming community, which I'm very proud of, is that they stand their ground. You won't find another group as dedicated and determined because for many of us, it's all we have. And in this particular case, Helldivers 2 coerced people in some regions to buy a PlayStation console just to keep playing, or so they could make a PSN account. And in other regions, many people couldn't access the game at all because they couldn't even make a PlayStation Network account due to their location. It was a nasty business that hurt Sony's reputation on top of everything else they've done, and people were just simply fed up. But what really helped turn things around was Valve. One of the largest companies that still seems to care about their fans in the community. So Valve has this long-standing policy where if someone has played a game for under 2 hours and requests a refund, they get their money back, no questions asked. Steam's 2-hour refund policy strikes this balance between what the consumers and the industry wants. And it allows all the gamers to play a game and try it out before deciding whether or not they want to stick with it. I rarely refund a game. Like usually if I want to buy a game, I will look up everything on that game that I can find. I pretty much know after deciding, looking at all the reviews, whether or not I want the game and want to stick with it. And most times I will stick with the game. I think like 1 or twice out of all the games that I've purchased, I've refunded. And it's either because it was misleading or it wasn't working properly, or found out that it wasn't worth what they were charging for it. And we can thank Valve's founder, Gabe Newell, for that, who went from looking like an average Family Guy dad to a freaking eldritch god tier mage. What a difference hair and a beard make. This can't be the same person. No way. Are you serious? Even the glasses, bro. Damn. Okay, Poppy, I see you. So because of Steam's integrity, they noticed the unfairness to gamers and decided to temporarily waive the 2-hour limit, offering refunds to those who were now region locked out of the game. And honestly, that was absolutely fair. I think this is what really pushed Sony to change, and it's only right. It's the right thing to do. Sony better not go after Valve for this, I swear to God, because Sony is the one that messed up. So some might argue that this wasn't hidden since it was technically in the terms of service, but buried fine print makes it unreasonable to expect people to realize they could have, they could eventually be locked out after spending their money on the game. It's misleading in the least, at the very least. Like terms of service are usually these long, packed walls of text with legal jargon, so it's tough for the average person, or much less the average gamer, to spot specific restrictions. Even if the region law clause was technically there, you can't expect people to wade through all of that before buying a game. I mean, realistically, that's what I guess you're supposed to do if you're spending money on something. But I think most companies know that people won't, or they won't understand it, or it can be so easily misinterpreted. That way they can save their own ass and say, well, if you look here on page 304 in the very fine print, underneath the other fine print, technically, it says here that it's your fault, you didn't catch it, even though you need a monocle to read it. And I think the other thing too is people are not expecting the companies to try and cut their legs from out of them if you're paying for something. They're not expecting that the company that they're entrusting with their money and that's going to give them back a service is going to have in the fine print something that's going to screw them out of the product that they paid for. So when a game is released in a specific region, that usually suggests that the players there that live in the area will have long-term access, or will, I don't know, own the thing that they purchased. Like letting them spend their money and time on Helldivers 2 only to then lock them out later when they already knew this was going to happen. It gives a false impression that they'll always be able to play the game. The fine print in the terms of service, if it's there, doesn't let Sony completely off the hook for not providing a clear upfront warning, which is very important. Hey, you spend money on this game and you're in these regions, you're gonna get locked out at some point. Just so you know, like, hey, before I blast my baby batter in you, just letting you know I'm not gonna stick around for the kid if you choose to have it. Like, that's something that you should have up front. You know what I'm saying? Even though you can say, well, it's the people's fault that they didn't read through that, still something I think that you know, it's like someone saying, yeah, so by the way, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, let's go. Kind of feels like the same thing. So I can understand from that point of view, like it's our responsibility, but at the same time, you know damn well the company was being very sleazy with it, and people just trust Sony, which this is further proof that you shouldn't. You shouldn't. I always skim through the terms of services with things now, and I have to admit, I probably would have missed that. So this whole spiel, on top of everything that happened, it also damages the trust between the gamers and Sony. And it leaves a lot of people feeling quite betrayed when they're unfairly locked out after buying the game. And it's not just a technical issue locking people out, it's also an ethical one. Sony should have been very upfront with this, as I said. And some people are even saying, and I agree with this, if you know this is going to happen later, don't offer it in those regions then, if you know they're going to get locked out later. Region locks really hurt the community by breaking up all the multiplayer connections. So people who become friends in different regions, now they form these teams, they form these friendships and bonds, and now they can't play with each other all of a sudden. Oh my god, hold on one second. I don't know what these things are in Helldivers 2. I know this is so off topic, but they remind me of the crabs from Monster Rancher. This is a cutscene from Helldivers 2. Look at the way this thing moves and how it looks. And in this video from Moosebones, he's showing his creature that is basically a mixture between a crab and a lobster. These are really old graphics. I'm sorry, I get distracted super easily. Anyway, with all the stuff that happened with Helldivers 2 and the gaming community coming together actually to make Sony reverse its decision on region locking the game, this is a huge success. PlayStation released this tweet May 5th, 2024, saying, Helldivers fans, we've heard your feedback on the Helldivers 2 account linking update, the May 6th update, which would have required Steam and PlayStation Network account linking for new players and for current players beginning May 30th, that will not be moving forward. We're still learning what is best for PC players, and your feedback has been invaluable. Thanks again for your continued support of Helldivers 2, and we'll keep you updated on future plans. And it has 35.1 million views at the time of this video. Wow. Damn. Okay. You see, like, there you go. Bro, even Pal World. I read this tweet before, but I didn't even realize who sent it. The freaking Pal World CEO person, or the guy at Pal World that runs a Twitter account, is like, great decision and glad it all got sorted out. However, it will be interesting to see what percentage of the Steam reviews actually changed their review. So he's challenging the people too, and he's like, okay guys, this was good. Cause Pal World, I don't know if you know, like a lot of you probably play Pal World, but if you haven't, Pal World and the people over at Pal World, the dev group, they are what people who care about their fan base is supposed to be. That's the epitome of what that is supposed to look like. So people respect them. We're still waiting, like everyone has played the game so inside and out right now, and all we're waiting for, because it was early access, everyone's waiting for the next updates. And faithfully so, because not only is their game amazing, but they've also shown their love for the community, which is something that shouldn't be that rare. You know, like companies actually caring about their fans. Why is that a rare thing nowadays? But anyway, so it's interesting to see Pal World praising Sony for this, which is a big deal. I like how they're like brushing off their shoulder, like, oh wow, it's about time you catch up with actually caring about the people who pay for you. See how that works? You finally took our example to heart. Good job, little ones. You finally did something right. It's so underhandedly condescending. It's so funny, but at the same time, you can interpret it as being encouraging when other developers or studios say, this is a good thing. We'll praise you for this because you should care about your fan base. Bro, even the donut operator, what is going on? He's like, damn, it's like actions have consequences. Oh my god, dude, I'm dead. What will you learn? That your actions have consequences? Ooh, but Pirate Software says, while this is a victory for the players, you've left a lasting stain on your brand as a publisher. Many people have very little reason to trust Sony going forward. Moving the business before you understand the player base is never the right choice. And I completely get where they're coming from as well, because that's the truth. As I've said, even in the last video I made when this whole thing went down, like, dude, like, anyway. This whole thing, it's still a success. Like, the collective efforts by the community unifying basically highlights that players aren't gonna sit back and just accept these policies that mistreat them, accept these companies that they've been supporting for years, you know, mistreating them and misleading them. And the success is a good one because I think it's important to note it demonstrates how people uniting their voices and actions can pressure companies to change their decisions, even with huge corporations like Sony. And this can transfer over into movies and entertainment as well. When fans unite to support or criticize a decision, they can affect change and push studios or creators to rethink their strategies. And it shows that community engagement is still very important, and companies need to listen to their audiences a little bit more carefully. When people are passionate about something and they're organized, they can do anything. And it's really a wonderful victory for the gaming community, and honestly for Sony as well, because, you know, when your customers aren't happy, they end up leaving, which only hurts you business-wise in the long run. And it would seem as though Sony cares about this to some extent, but it kind of feels like a relationship where your partner gets so successful that they forget about the one who stuck with them before they had anything. You know, the one that would suck them off when they were sad and, you know, cook for them every day and just always be there for them. They're bullshit. Everything that you've gone through, the ups and downs, when you're financially down, I got you, don't worry, I'll pick up the slack. That kind of partner. When you were ugly before you got your makeover, I was with you. You know, they start getting cocky and start exercising their options, not caring if you leave, only to find out that you have standards. Oh my God, what do you mean you're gonna actually leave them? The person who likes them just because they're successful doesn't really care about them and won't invest in them. So if the loyal partner leaves, which is you, oh God, that's bad news, because they know damn well that they would lose the one person who actually loves them and has to put up with more nonsense than anybody else would allow. That's what this whole situation feels like. With Sony as the partner now on their knees after messing up, suddenly pretending to love and care about you again after mistreating you for so long. They're only changing their tune now that you've literally packed your bags and is heading out the door and has already taken off the ring and put it on the table. Some would say a little too late, bro. But because you love them, stupidly, you stick around and try to make it work when you see them trying to make a difference, even if it's just because, you know, you were ready to leave. You know, it's funny how many parallels you can draw between relationships across the board, whether it be friendships, you know, business consumer relationships or romantic partnership. The same thing applies across the whole board. And the same thing also goes for consumers. A seller can be tried and true, consistently delivering what their customer base wants, but if something newer and fresher and sexier comes along, they'll probably still end up leaving. But likewise though, if developers don't keep up with the times and their competition, they won't keep their customers or partners. It's still a dog-eat-dog world, but one thing is very clear, especially with this entire situation, the sellers, in this case, need the customers more than the other way around. At most, we lose a form of entertainment if we stop playing the game. Businesses, however, they could lose everything. Their whole livelihood is based on this. So they have more to lose than we do, and we should remember that. We'll be okay. At most, we'll lose a few $100s maybe. However, they'll lose millions or even billions, which is a much heavier hit. None of us want to ruin our favorite companies or studios, but when they keep mistreating us as audience or customers, ripping us off and misleading us and all that stuff, it's okay. It's okay to wake them up through your actions. Yes, we should use our voices, but actions must follow. Anyone who's grown up with parents knows the saying, if I have to tell you one more time, because actions always follow that warning. Or the look that your parents give you when they walk in the room and you're not doing what they expected you to do. And you know they meant business because you knew from past experience, anytime mom says that, some shit's gonna happen, some shit's gonna go down. In this situation, the gaming community knows how to stand their ground. When they warn big companies and give them the verbal backlash, there will be an action that follows. Just like stirring up a hive of angry wasps. ending for everyone, so far at least. Does this mean that something like this won't happen again in the future? Probably not, but actions still matter. And I think that's the most important thing to take away from all of this, as well as
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profile.